What's up guys, so today we're going to be changing the brake fluid on the S2000. Now the wheels are already off, as you can see, and the reason I did that is because we're going to need the wheels to be off to access the little cylinder that allows us to get the old brake fluid out that are already in the calipers. So we'll go step by step, but I already took all the wheels off, I already have it up on jacks just so we're not wasting any time. Ow, mother, I should have known better than that. So I actually haven't changed the brake fluid on this car before. I've had it a little over a year now and it's due for it. I looked at the reservoir a couple days ago and it's just not pretty. So this is going to be our reservoir. This is where we're going to be putting our new brake fluid. But if you look inside, there's going to be this little filter. And once you get this guy out, mine is that awful. There we go. It's like pretty dark, almost black, and that's not the color it should be. Brake fluid should be pretty much clear. So that needs to go. All right, so I got a tighter shot on this. This is the guy we're gonna be suctioning stuff out of. You're gonna wanna get a good majority of the brake fluid out of this, at least the old stuff. So you wanna have something like a turkey baster. I, on the other hand, have this. It's an oil suction gun, but it works well with just about all lubricants. So we're gonna be suctioning what we can out of this reservoir and throwing it in this guy. This is an old bin. I used to throw in old oil and stuff. Just gonna put it in there and then keep going. We're gonna get this as low as possible, then we're gonna add new fluid. Okay, so we got that pretty low, and just something to note, you don't want to drain this all the way. You want to leave some of the fluid in there. If you're in all the way, there's a really good chance you're going to get a lot of air in the system, and you don't want that. That's the level that we're at. We're going to keep it right around there. We could get more out, but it's just not really worth it. We're just going to start adding new brake fluid, do the flush, and we should be able to get it out whenever we start pumping the brakes. I went with the Freestone .3. I'm not really running too much of a track setup. I track maybe once every 4 or 5 months. I do autocross more often, and that is really not as demanding as tracking. So I'm really not going to need that really high boiling point for heavy braking, just because I don't do it that much. This is really just going to be for street use, for autocrossing once a month, and that once every 4 months, once every 5 months tracking. I practiced this car before on .3. I did 3 sessions and everything was fine, so it wasn't going too hard on the car, but nothing severe happened with the brakes and everything was fine. So this should be doing the job. Something to note from .3 over .4. .3 you don't have to replace as often. I think .3 you replace every 2 years, and whenever you run a .4, even a .5, that's something you have to replace at least every once a year, if not every 6 months, and you just have to really kind of be on checking your brake fluid and seeing if it needs to be replaced. But if your service manual requires you to use .4 or higher, use .4 or higher. Don't cheap out and use .3 because you think it's going to last longer. You see, look how clean that looks. Okay, so now that we've kind of topped it off, what we're going to do now is we're going to start pumping the brakes, and then we're going to start with the back right of the wheel. So you're going to want to start from this back guy right here. This guy is furthest, and the reason for that is because you want to start from the furthest from the reservoir. So you're going to want to go here, then to the driver's side rear, then the passenger side front, and then the driver's side front. You get started on this, you're going to come down here and right here. This is the guy that you're going to need to undo. It's a little rubber piece. You should, oh crap, let me focus it. It's a little rubber piece. I already cleaned mine off because it was dirty as hell. And you're just going to want to slip that guy off. There you go. And then what you're going to need is like, I believe it's a 3/8 line to run it down, something below that can catch the fluid. I went ahead and bought this. It's 1/4 line. This is all they had at AutoZone. Oh my god, the freaking sun. This is a 1/4 line. This is all they had at AutoZone, so I'm hoping it fits. It might be snug though. Let's see. Oh, no, it actually fits right well. On second thought, 1/4 is the line that you're gonna want to get. In order to get this guy to start spewing out fluid, there's this guy right here. Now you're gonna need like a 10 mil wrench, I believe. Let me go get the wrench. It's now about 30 or 45 minutes later. I had to run up to Home Depot to get some tools because I don't have a toolbox, not really. Give you an idea, I just kind of have these spread out, these spread out. I really want to put a toolbox right here, but I just haven't yet. It's coming up in a few weeks, so hopefully, maybe, I don't know, I'll probably treat myself to one. But going back to it, I went to Home Depot and I picked these guys up. This is a 24 set from Cobalt. This was, I believe, $40. Craftsman had like 11 set, which was for 60, which didn't make any sense to me. A 24 set, 40 bucks, and we needed this guy. This is the famous 10 mil. This is gonna go over the little valve that we need to open to let all the bad brake gunk out. Stay in focus and do this. Okay, so now that is on. Put our line on as so. And now is the point where you will need a friend. So the friend that you have in the car is gonna be pressing the brake down. What I recommend doing is pressing the brake about 5 times, and then on the 5th, you hold the brake down. That's when we're gonna open this valve. Some brake fluid is gonna come out. Then as soon as you start to lose pressure, not a lot of brake fluid comes out, you close it back up, then that's when they let off the brake. You're gonna do it a few times, and then you'll start to see some of the clear brake fluid. That's when you know when you're good. All right, hold it down, now don't let it up. All right, now don't let it go. Press it down again, or let off. Okay, now do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? It's too full. All right. All right, go ahead and pump the brakes.
Gotta be out probably. 1, 2, 4, 5.
Hold it down. Ooh, that's some ugly color stuff. Nice. Can you see it? A little bit. Down. Ooh, yeah.
Looks like beef stock.
Yeah, it kind of does.
The forbidden beef stock.
Alright. So we're on like our 3rd or 4th pump on this one, letting it go, letting the fluid out, and my brother noticed that it was the pedal was starting to go further and further to the floor, and that's because we started running low on our reservoir. So don't forget about that. So it took us about, what, a wheel or a brake and 2 or 3 pumps in until we need to top it off. So get your brake fluid, top off the reservoir, and then get back to pumping. We had kind of topped it off initially, but now it's all the way down there. Now, I don't know if you can see in it, but it's not at the bottom yet. So it's not like we were letting air into the system.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's still going to the floor.
Unfortunately, I had the camera facing him, but we just encountered some air in the system. You can kind of see the little bubbles here, but he was mentioning earlier also how like the pedal was going straight to the floor, and that was also credit because I guess we had air in the system. So, and whenever I undid this, it kind of just went psh, and you could see some of the bubbles come out, and yeah, always good to check for that because that is the reason that you will lose brakes whenever you're driving. Okay. All right, let off. Hold it down. This one actually went a lot faster. Because we had to do like 7 or 8 flushes on those. This one I've only had to do like 4. and liquid's already starting to look clear. I think it's because we're a lot closer to the reservoir. The fluid doesn't have a lot of distance to travel. This one only had a little bit of bubbles in it, but that side, driver's side rear, was the one that really kind of had a lot of bubbles in it. With that being the last one that needed to be bled, come here, I already did it, make sure this guy goes back on, and make sure you're at a good amount. If we do that, we can begin to put back the wheels, but before you do that, it's a good idea to just kind of look in all your wheel wells and kind of make sure everything looks right. And something that I noticed with my light here was, if you can see in this, that right there along this, that looks like some sort of stainage, like almost looks like oil, and it kind of runs up there too, but it's not on the diffuser. So if you look, that's like cleaned up, but that does look like, you know, that's like water or something that's been dried up on it. But that up there is something different. I'm not sure what it is, but judging how like it looks very darkish, I'm pretty sure that's oil. So I'm gonna look into that, make sure we're not leaking anything. I did just check my dipstick and I am good on oil in my car. And I also noticed, if you look up here, it looks really dirty on this side, in particular right around there, which is our timing chain tensioner, which is right here. So down there as well, you know, it's clean on the oil filter. You know, there's nothing around the edges on the oil filter, but if you look right there at that hose, it's pretty, no, come on, focus right there. Yeah, there we go. So if you look at that hose right there, it's pretty dirty. Oil filter's clean, hose dirty, and if you even look on that bowl, it looks like it's got a little bit of oil there. So my best guess is we're leaking from that timing chain tensioner. The last episode I talked about how I was gonna get a few more things fixed in this car, like the drive line. I was gonna get a new EPS tensioner for the steering, and the guy that's helped me with that, he also sells timing chain tensioners, so I'm gonna message him, get that done while I'm there, and hopefully we'll do that soon. The timing chain tensioner on the S2000 is kind of like the Achilles heel of it, so it's not something you really want to procrastinate on. But that's just about it. Yeah, just bleeding your brakes and everything, it's just a little time consuming, it can be a little tedious, but it's that or putting the foot to the floor and not feeling any brake pressure, and that I can't imagine how awful that feels. Anyways, I hope you found this helpful, entertaining. If you have any recommendations for mods on the S2000, I'm all ears, always listen to those. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna end it for today. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.